What does it mean to be or exist? What is being? Well, to be or being is fulfilled by the will. Being is fulfilled by the will. It's determined. To be something takes will. You say you will do something. Much in the same, something can be undone by the will of Zeus. So that you say, I was something. You're not something anymore. You are not something, right? Reading from Hesiod's Theogony. Come you, let us begin with the Muses, who gladden the great spirit of their father Zeus in Olympus with their songs, telling of things that are, and that shall be, and that were aforetime with consenting voice. So the verb to be in English can be present, past, future. And also we can denote genders and possession of items or things, right? Traits, responsibilities as well. Which I argue is the point of the Cyclopes and the Hundred Handers in Hesiod's Theogony. And this also reminds me as well of the Sumerian poem Enki and Ninmah, where I argue Enki is analogous to the Cyclopes in that he comes up from an arrested state and helps bring a new order to the ruling pantheon. But also, more importantly, he represents the being of Zeus, the apostrophe, the gendered, and the past, the present, future tenses of him, the responsibilities that he gives out to the gods, right? That his will is fulfilled through these. That this is his being. This is how we know that Zeus exists, right? So in Hesiod's Theogony, let's read from Hesiod's Theogony. She, or she here being Gaia, bore the Cyclopes, overbearing in spirit, Brontes, Steropes, and stubborn-hearted Arges, who gave Zeus the thunder and made the thunderbolt. First, it's always helpful to look at the names for etymological significance. So the three Cyclopes are named Brontes, Steropes, and Arges. So the thunder, the noise of the thunder, right, is Brontes. The flash or light is Steropes, and the silverish color is Arges. And of course, there's more to it, right? But just let's start simple. So, just from a symbolic standpoint, we can recognize the being of Zeus being fulfilled in literary and cinematic form, as well as, kind of funny, in a funny way, a cartoon, right? The storm that follows a person, people getting zapped by a bolt of lightning. It is funny. Also, we know the symbol of like one in deep thought, and it's like this cloud or something, or that our messages on our iPhone are sending these kind of cloud shapes, right? And then a bad mood or bad luck can be denoted by a storm cloud that follows you around, and maybe that a lightning bolt is like this eureka moment. But now we kind of think of the light bulb right above your head. It's kind of this like Edisonian more than the Cyclopean kind of symbolicism. Likewise, the Cyclopes symbolically are known for a circle above your head, circle above your head, or kind of like on your forehead, right? It's a circle above your head, much like the light bulb or, again, the cloud. The Greek word for lightning is very similar to the Greek word for apostrophe. So, additionally, the root kera, or it's like ceramic, or this Kera, again, is found in the word ceramic, which was used to make, pottery, houses, and tablets. And we see these kind of names start again with this Kera, and this is related to lightning. So, and we know Zeus is like a miller. So again, the ceramic, stone, or material would be used for grinding, right, which would produce sparks. And that Zeus is the lightning god, the spark god. He's also the one who controlled fire before Prometheus, right? Sparks cause fire. And then also that we know the Cyclopes are also kind of these builders, but they're also like these smiths, right? They make the lightning. So if the grinding could be sharpening, like to sharpen one's sword is like also known as some kind of this like literary metaphor or something to become a better writer or something, or to even just become better at something, just to become, right? To become determined and to have your will fulfilled. And it's done through this grinding on the stone, and the sparks are flying. So both ceramic and the apostrophe make sense. So let's read on. So reading further, the Theogony of Hesiod. In all else, they, the Cyclopes, were like gods. So they were analogous to gods. But one eye only was set in the midst of their foreheads, and they were surnamed Cyclopes, or orb-eyed, because, again, one orbed eye was set in their forehead. So it seems pretty simple, right? They have an orb on their forehead, and it's like an apostrophe, and it gives them their name, right? They possess it. That is the meaning of the Cyclopes. It says their because they have something on their forehead, that's why they're called a. They're eponymous, right? Their ability for Zeus to carry out his will is this lightning bolt, or to make language, right? That this is how he writes, that he kind of engraves on the stone. It's like in the Ten Commandments or something. And through this, he assigns responsibilities to people after, and this is done after winning the Titan War. So we can also translate their name as like a walking circle, or like a circle with feet, right? So again, PES is like it's like a foot, right? Or pod is like a foot, but it's also like to walk. And then cyclo, of course, is like a circle. And this is like how we know the shape of an apostrophe. So another popular way to say it is like a circle or wheel of time, right? It's another popular translation of Cyclopes. But I'd say it's like a lot of things, right? You just look up the root word and then you'll see what words are formed from it. Reading from the Sumerian poem Enki and Ninmah, Enki is called up by his mother and another goddess, Ninmah. And there he gives them a feast, and then the poem goes, Enki and Ninmah. Enki brought joy to their heart. He set a feast for his mother Nama and for Ninmah. All the princely birth goddesses ate delicate reed and bread. An, Enlil, and the Lord Enki roasted holy kids. All the senior gods praised him. O Lord of wide understanding, who is as wise as you, Enki? The great Lord, who can equal your actions? Like a corporeal father, you are the one who has the May of deciding destinies. In fact, you are the May. Enki and Ninmah drank beer. Their hearts became elated, and Ninmah said to Enki, man's body can either be good or bad, and whether I make a fate good or bad depends on my will. So Enki is told he has the May of deciding destinies, and in fact, he is the May. So where the May is like mace, right? It's like mesos is like May is like a characteristic, or it's a trait, it's a responsibility, it's like a god, or some kind of like something that a civilization possesses. So again, possession. Like when you read Hesiod's Theogony, he says the Cyclopes are eponymous, right? They're known or called so because they have eyes in the mesos, or middle of the metopon, so the space between their eyes, right? So mace and May, like in the Sumerian poem Enki and Ninmah, right? This is a kind of this, because of this feature or something they possess, they can fulfill the destiny, right, of God. So likewise, this Cyclopes allows Zeus to have the thunderbolt in language, or being essentially, right, to use this word be. And he wins the Titan War, and he gives birth to a new generation of gods, right, with responsibilities that they'll possess. And then these gods are going to need weapons or tools or other things, and then the Cyclopes are the one who make that. So going further in the Sumerian myth, Enki and Ninmah, the 6 children that Enki and Ninmah create are like the Cyclopes in that they give possession and responsibility, or they have some kind of like trait that they possess, and they're responsible, and that's how they get their name. And they are the word to be a servant, right? To be a silversmith, to be dumb, the different forms of being. So let's read the Sumerian poem. Enki and Ninmah. Enki answered Ninmah, I will counterbalance whatever fate, good or bad, you happen to decide. Ninmah took clay from the top of the Apsu in her hand, and she fashioned from it first a man who could not bend his outstretched weak hands. Enki looked at the man who could not bend his outstretched weak hands and decried his faith. He appointed him as servant of the king. Second, she fashioned one who turned back the light, a man with constantly opened eyes. Enki looked at the one who turned back the light, and the man with constantly opened eyes, and decreed his fate, allotting it to the musical arts, making him as the chief in the king's presence. Third, she fashioned one with both feet broken, one with paralyzed feet. Enki looked at the one with broken feet, both feet broken, and the one with paralyzed feet, him for the work, and the silversmith. She fashioned a third one, born in as an idiot. Looked at this one, the one born as an idiot, and decreed his fate. He appointed him servant of the king. Fourth, she fashioned one who could not hold back his urine. Enki looked at the one who could not hold back his urine, and bathed him in enchanted water, and drove out the Namtar demon from his body. Fifth, she fashioned a woman who could not give birth. Enki looked at the woman who could not give birth, and cried her faith. He made her belong to the queen's household, as a weaver fashioned her to belong to the queen's household. Sixth, she fashioned one with neither penis nor vagina on its body. Enki looked at the one with neither penis nor vagina on its body and gave it its name, Nibru Enoch, and decried as its fate to stand before the king. So the 6 people are like the gendered and different responsibilities of the palace court, right? So you have like these guys, and you have a girl, you have an it, right? You have somebody who's not really a guy or a girl, and then you have these kind of jobs that they do. And these are like the Cyclopes with Steropes. Steropes means the flash of lightning. He's like the second man fashioned, the one who constantly open eyes and he turns back the light. And Arges, he's like a Cyclopes name. He means silver, but he's also this kind of lazy rich person, essentially, which could fit the third person fashioned, right? It's this kind of silver smith. And Brontes, the fourth one, he could be the one who can't hold back his urine, right? Because Brontes, he means to gush, right? It's probably something like this storming sound or this raining sound of storm, right? Because Zeus is the storm god. So the Cyclopes represent the possessive forms of I am, to be, right? So I am is to be, and there's of course different genders, but there's also tenses. So reading further from Hesiod's Theogony, we get to the 100-handers. Strength and might and craft were in their works, and again, 3 other sons were born of earth and heaven, great and doughty beyond telling: Codus, Briareos, and Gaius, presumptuous children. From their shoulders sprang 100 arms not to be approached, and 50 heads grew from the shoulders upon the strong limbs of each other, and irresistible was the stubborn strength that was in their great forms. For all the children that were born of earth and heaven, these were the most terrible, and they were hated by their own father from the first. And he used to hide them all away in a secret place of earth, so soon as each was born, and would not suffer them come up into the light. The 300-handers are Codus, where on the so if you go online onto the Perseus word study tool, it translates Codus as horse. But then if you go onto like Wikipedia, I think it says like fool or someone stupid. And then you have Briareus, we can interpret to mean strength, right? So it's, if you look it up on the lexicon, it's like short or short arm, or it's like an arm in strength. So it's like a branch, the branch on a bush or a tree. And then another translation could be a food of any kind. It's like an inedible, something suitable for food, right? Which would make sense for a branch. And then finally, Gaius is like a piece of curved land or wood. And, well, it's probably like the yoke on a plow, really. And then altogether, you could say that they are like this plow, and there's like a horse, and there's like the strength or the arm, and they're going to work the land, and they're going to straighten it out to make it more arable. It's right. It's like this form of geometry. Because Hesiod says that they're a plastoi, they're aplastic, they're unable to be molded. All right, there's like these trees. You can't mold the tree. You can't make a tree. That they sprang 100 arms from the shoulders. And in general, right, that they're not to be approached. When they say they're not to be approached, it's aplatos, or it's opposite of plato. That it's something, right? Platonic is something we can achieve. So that's something aplatos we can't achieve, that we can't approach it. It's like this infinite destination that we can never get there, right? So, right. So the freshman 101, right? Platonic ideal. What is Plato, freshman guy? Does he live in a cave? So again, if you go to Enki and Ninmah, the first man created has an arm that he can't bend, right? So it's like the 100-handers. It's Briareos. He has this arm, and then it's like what does it say? It can't be molded, right? You can't like bend it or mold it. The other is an idiot or a fool, right? Codus is an idiot or a fool. He's like a horse. So he could be the one they say there's an idiot, or he could be this it, right? The Sumerian myth, they create this person that's not a boy or a girl, and that could be like the horse. And then Gaius. Well, Gaius is a curved piece of wood or land. But in reality, it's like a yoke, right? So it means to join, curve, or to join someone like in marriage, or a plow, right? That mostly this, like when you read the Bible or you read these ancient myths, it's all about like plows or yokes. And that's the curved wood. So in the poem Enki and Ninmah, there's this woman who's a weaver, and she's also part of the queen's household, right? The matrimonial house. And so it's, again, this marriage to yoke two people together, right? So this is like, well, when I read it, I say it's like the Adam and Eve story, where a man and woman are joined, right? And then the earth is fruitful and it produces. It's like the 100-handers. There's the branch, there's the yoke and the plow, right? They work the land, they join the man and woman, the yoke, and then they bring forth and produce the fruit, the branch, the Briareos. Next, Enki creates a man with semen, and the person comes out all disjointed, and he's monstrous. which again is probably like the 100-handers, and they're like, I imagine they have these hands and shoulders growing, right? They're all disjointed and they're monstrous, and Enki doesn't, and Anne doesn't really care. They're like kind of like discarded, and again, heaven puts them out of the light, right? And Hesiod, he says that heaven doesn't like his children. So let's read from Enki and Ninmah. Enki devised a shape with head and mouth in its middle and said to Ninmah, pour ejaculated semen into a woman's womb, and the woman will give birth to the semen of her womb. Ninmah stood by for the newborn, and the woman brought forth in the midst. In return, this was Umul. Its head was afflicted. Its fragmentary was afflicted. Its eyes were afflicted. Its neck was afflicted. It could hardly breathe. Its ribs were shaky. Its lungs were afflicted. Its heart was afflicted. Its bowels were afflicted. With its hand and its lolling head, it could not put bread into its mouth. Its spine and head were dislocated. The weak hips and the shaky feet could not carry it on the field. Enki fashioned it in this way. So the 100-handers represent the marriage, the yoke, the horse, and the plow, and that the plow is jointed, right? It's all jointed together, a plow, and it's pieced together like the man created by Enki. But also it could be that Enki creates them like this so they don't know how to care for themselves, right? That they need the gods. Additionally, they represent the beginning of agriculture, right? The ability to straighten out the land with a plow into these measurable tracts that can be given out and worked and taxed in a feudal society. And the plow comes out once a year during the plow season, where other tools like the hoe is used more often, right? Enki's like the hoe. And then the 100-handers are kept locked away, right, until the right time, or Chronos, right? Then they're brought up by, again, Chronos time. So Hesiod describes the arms of the 100-handers as a limb that come forth or produce, like a limb or a branch of a tree. And then Briareus can also mean strength, or this, again, an arm or branch. So like in Freshman 101, you have the Platonic allegory of the cave, where the Cyclopes, well, you have Steropes, he's like the stereo sound, so to speak, and then there's the crash, right, of the lightning, and Zeus is angry, and then there's a flash of thunder and lightning, and then these are like the other Cyclopes, like Brontes or Arges, and then you have the 100-handers, right? They're these shadows, these forms on the wall that are unapproachable and unmoldable, and they have like all these arms and stuff, and they're like monstrous. And again, the Cyclopes are the apostrophes that break up the flow and rhythm and breathing involved in the reading of the text, or like if you're like a bard and you're reading the poem. And then in ancient Greece, these kind of apostrophes are going to tell you how to like breathe, and when to become excited, when to be loud, and probably how to read it, right? And it's like the Sumerian poem Enki and Ninmah, that the man made by Enki, he has this labor breathing. He can't speak. He can't eat. And it's just the tense or the breathing, right? And spacing. It's not the words themselves